People always ask me, Mr. Trump, what's the secret? How do you build wealth? How do you create success? And I tell them the truth. It's not money. It's not luck. It's mindset. The millionaire mindset. And if you don't have it, you'll never win. But if you do, you can change your entire life faster than you ever imagined. Believe me, let me tell you something that very few people understand. Success does not start in the bank. It doesn't start in your job. It doesn't start with luck or with who your parents are or even where you were born. Success, real success, millionaire level success starts in the mind, right here. It's the way you think. And if you think small, you'll live small. If you think like a loser, you'll stay a loser. But if you think like a millionaire, if you develop the mindset, you can transform your life completely. That's the truth. And I know because I've lived it. See, most people go through life with blinders on. They're told, work hard, get a safe job, save a little money, maybe retire one day. That's what they teach in schools. That's what they push on television. But here's the problem. That's not the path to wealth. That's the path to mediocrity. And I'll tell you right now, mediocrity is the biggest trap in the world. You know what it does? It convinces people they're doing okay while they're actually stuck. And when you're stuck, you never grow. I've met so many people, very smart people, but they never make it big. Do you know why? Because they don't give themselves permission to think big. They say, well, maybe I'll just buy a small house. Maybe I'll just open a little shop. Maybe I'll just try not to fail. That's a loser's way of thinking. And I don't say that to be cruel. I say it because it's true. If your goals are small, your results will always be small. That's why I've always told people, if you're going to think big. It doesn't cost you one penny more to think big, but the payoff is massive. When I was young, I didn't dream about owning a little office or a tiny building. I looked at Manhattan, the skyline, the towers, and I said, I want to be there. I want to build there. I want to change that skyline. People thought I was crazy. They laughed. They said, Donald, you're dreaming too big. It's impossible. And you know what? Those people are still laughing from the sidelines while I built skyscrapers with my name in gold. That's the difference between thinking small and thinking like a millionaire. Here's another thing. Small thinkers always see problems. Big thinkers see possibilities. The small thinker says, I can't afford it. I don't know how. It's too risky. The millionaire thinker says, how do I make it happen? Who can I talk to? Where's the opportunity in this challenge? Do you see the difference? One mindset closes the door. The other mindset opens 100 doors. People with the wrong mindset always wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect chance, the perfect economy. Let me tell you, there is no perfect moment. If you're waiting, you're losing. Winners move fast. They take action. They adjust as they go. That's why millionaires are millionaires. They don't sit around waiting for permission. They create their own reality. The mind is the most powerful asset you have. You could take away the money, the cars, the buildings, and if you've got the mindset, you'll build it all back again. That's how strong it is. But if you don't have the mindset, you could win the lottery tomorrow, get $10 million, and within 5 years, you'll be broke again. We've all seen it happen. Because the truth is, money doesn't make you rich. Mindset does. And here's the kicker. The millionaire mindset is not about greed. It's not about being selfish. It's about expansion. It's about growth. It's about asking, how much value can I create? How big can I think? How far can I go? That's why people with this mindset build businesses, create jobs, change cities, because they're not thinking in limits, they're thinking in possibilities. Look around the world. The people who rise, the people who make history, the people who leave their names in stone, they all had one thing in common. They thought bigger than everyone else. They refused to accept the so-called rules that keep ordinary people trapped. They said, why not me? Why not now? Why not go bigger? And that's exactly what they did. So I want you to ask yourself right now, are you thinking small or are you thinking big? Are you living like a spectator or are you living like a player? Because I'll tell you, life is not a dress rehearsal. You don't get a second shot. If you don't shift your mindset now, you'll wake up 10 years from today in the exact same spot, same job, same house, same paycheck, and you'll regret it. I don't want that for you. The millionaire mindset starts by rejecting small thinking, by saying, I refuse to settle, I refuse to be average, I refuse to play small. You've got to train yourself to see opportunities, not obstacles, to see growth, not problems, to believe deeply that you are capable of achieving far more than you've ever been told. That's the first step, because once your mindset changes, everything changes. The people you meet, the decisions you make, the risks you take, it all transforms. And suddenly what felt impossible becomes possible. What looked too far away becomes within reach. That's the power of the millionaire mindset. And believe me, it changes everything. People make the mistake of thinking that money comes first. They say, if only I had more money, then I could invest. If only I had a big paycheck, then I could live differently. If only I had luck, then I could succeed. That's the wrong way of thinking, completely backwards. Money is not the cause of success, it is the effect. The real cause, the foundation, the engine that drives everything is mindset. Without the right mindset, money is nothing more than paper that slips through your fingers. With the right mindset, money becomes a tool that multiplies, grows, and builds empires. I've seen it countless times. People win the lottery, millions of dollars overnight, and what happens? 5 years later, maybe even sooner, they're broke again. They're in debt. They're worse off than before. Why? Because they never built the mindset to handle wealth. They never had the discipline, the vision, the strength to think like a millionaire. They were still small thinkers who suddenly had a large bank account, and when a small thinker gets big money, it disappears. That is why I say money does not make you rich. Mindset makes you rich. And if you don't change the way you think, no amount of money will change your life. The millionaire mindset is about belief before reality. You have to believe you are capable. You have to act with confidence long before the money shows up. That's what winners do. They move with certainty. They make decisions with vision. They don't say, I'll wait until I have the money to think big. They think big first, and because of that, the opportunities and the resources eventually follow. It's like a magnet. When you think like a millionaire, when you carry yourself like a winner, when you make bold decisions, the money begins to flow toward you. That's the secret that most people miss. Let me give you an example from my own life. When I was a young man, I didn't have billions. I didn't have skyscrapers with my name in gold. But I had a vision in my mind. I walked the streets of Manhattan, and I didn't see what was there. I saw what could be there. Where others saw an old building, I saw a tower. Where others saw risk, I saw possibility. That wasn't money at work. That was mindset. I thought like a developer long before I had the funds to develop. I acted like a builder long before I had the construction teams and the financing. That mindset pulled the opportunities to me. That mindset attracted investors, banks, partners. The vision came first. The money came later. And without that mindset, none of it would have happened. This is why I tell people that money follows certainty. When you walk into a room and you don't believe in yourself, people can smell it. They can see the hesitation, the doubt, the weakness. Investors won't trust you. Partners won't follow you. Customers won't buy from you. But when you walk in with the millionaire mindset, with unshakable belief, people sense it. They feel it. They want to be part of it. They want to invest, to partner, to follow. And that belief, that mindset creates the money. It is very important to understand this. The millionaire mindset does not wait for conditions to be perfect. People with the wrong mindset say, I'll start when the economy improves. I'll start when I have more savings. I'll start when things calm down. That is the excuse-making mindset, the average mindset. Millionaires don't wait for perfect timing. They create the timing. They act boldly in imperfect conditions, and because of that, they gain the advantage while others are still waiting. The money comes later, but the mindset acts now. Think of it this way. The world is divided into two kinds of people. The first kind says, I'll believe it when I see it. The second kind says, I'll see it because I believe it. The first group always waits, always doubts, always follows. The second group leads, creates, and shapes the future. The second group has the millionaire mindset, and you must decide which group you belong to. Another truth people don't like to admit is that money without mindset can be dangerous. It can destroy people. It gives them temporary power, but no direction. They spend recklessly, they waste opportunities, they lose focus, and very soon it's gone. That's why some people inherit fortunes and end up with nothing, while others start with nothing and end up with fortunes. The difference is never the money, the difference is always the mindset. So what is this mindset in practice? It is the ability to see yourself as more than your current situation. It is the habit of thinking in possibilities instead of limitations. It is the discipline to invest in growth when others are wasting resources. It is the courage to step forward when others step back. It is the refusal to let fear dictate your decisions. That is what separates the millionaire thinker from the average thinker. The good news is, anyone can adopt this mindset. You don't need millions in the bank to start thinking like a millionaire. You need to train your mind to focus on opportunities, to believe in expansion, to act boldly. If you can do that, the money will find its way to you, because money flows to certainty, to vision, to leadership. And that all begins in the mind. So let me say it again. Money is not the starting point. Mindset is. Change your mindset and you change your actions. Change your actions and you change your results. Change your results and the money will come. That is the order of success. That is why the millionaire mindset is more valuable than any dollar you will ever earn. Because with the right mindset, the dollars will keep coming. Without it, no amount of money will ever be enough. Everybody loves the idea of success. They love the image of the cars, the houses, the private jets, the lifestyle. But here's what they don't love: the discipline it takes to actually get there. And here's another truth they don't like: the risk. You cannot become a millionaire. You cannot build anything meaningful without both discipline and risk. People don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Discipline is the engine that turns vision into reality. You can think big, you can dream, you can visualize, but without discipline, you will stay in the dream. It's like drawing blueprints for a building but never laying the first brick. Discipline is showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not, and doing the work. Discipline is sticking to the plan when distractions, excuses, and temptations try to pull you off course. People look at my buildings, my businesses, my accomplishments, and they say, "Trump, you must have been lucky." No, luck had nothing to do with it. It was discipline. It was the decision every single day to put in the work, to keep pushing, to keep fighting. And let me be clear, discipline is not glamorous. It's not always exciting. In fact, most of the time it's boring. People think success is about huge breakthroughs, dramatic moments, big opportunities, but most of success is built on the small, boring, repetitive things you do every day. Waking up early, studying the numbers, making the calls, reviewing the deals, checking the contracts. It's not glamorous, but that's what builds an empire. Everyone wants the glory, but few are willing to live the discipline that creates it. That's why so few people ever make it to the top. Now let's talk about risk. You cannot separate success from risk. If you are unwilling to take risks, you are unwilling to grow, and if you don't grow, you cannot win. It's that simple. The reason most people stay stuck is because they are terrified of risk. They want guarantees, they want certainty, they want safety, but there is no safety in mediocrity. Playing it safe is the riskiest thing you can do because it guarantees you'll stay small. When I built Trump Tower, it was a massive risk. People told me it couldn't be done. The land was expensive, the financing was complicated, the critics said it would never work, but I believed in it. I took the risk, and because I took the risk, I built an icon. If I had played it safe, if I had listened to the doubters, it never would have happened. That's the difference. Winners embrace risk, losers avoid it. Now here's the key. You don't take reckless risks. I'm not telling you to gamble blindly. I'm telling you to take calculated risks. Smart risks. Risks where you've studied the situation, you've weighed the numbers, you've prepared, and then you make the bold move. That's what separates the successful from the reckless. The successful take risks with preparation and vision. The reckless take risks with no plan and no discipline. There's a big difference. And here's the truth about risk. Failure will happen. You will make mistakes. You will lose sometimes. I have lost. I have had deals that fell apart, businesses that didn't work out, projects that cost me. But here's what people don't understand. Failure is not the end. Failure is information. Failure is feedback. Failure is the tuition you pay for success. Every time I failed, I learned. And every time I learned, I came back stronger. That's the mindset of discipline and risk. You don't fear failure, you use it. Most people quit after one setback. They try something, it doesn't work, and they give up. That's why they never get anywhere. The millionaire mindset says, if I fail, I'll adjust. If I fall, I'll get back up. If I lose, I'll come back stronger. That's the discipline. That's the resilience. That's what separates the few who succeed from the many who give up. Another point about discipline, it's not just about working hard. It's about working smart. Some people confuse activity with productivity. They stay busy all day, but they don't move the needle. Discipline is about focusing on the things that matter, the actions that bring results. It's about cutting out the noise, ignoring the distractions, and doing what moves you forward. That's not easy in a world filled with distractions, but that's what millionaires do. Discipline also means sacrifice. While your friends are partying, while others are wasting time, you're building. While others are buying things they can't afford, you're investing. While others chase short-term pleasure, you're focused on long-term wealth. That's discipline. And most people simply don't have it because they're too addicted to comfort. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to sacrifice, and that's why they never rise above average. Risk, on the other hand, is where the big rewards live. Nobody ever built anything great without stepping into the unknown. Nobody ever made history by staying in their comfort zone. If you want extraordinary results, you must take extraordinary risks. The world rewards courage. The world rewards boldness. The world rewards those who are willing to step out when others hold back. So here's the lesson. Discipline is the bridge between vision and results, and risk is the doorway to opportunity. You need both. Without discipline, your vision dies in the dream stage. Without risk, your discipline keeps you busy but never takes you higher. But when you combine discipline and risk, you create unstoppable momentum. You move forward every day, and you seize opportunities others are too afraid to touch. That's the formula. That's the truth. Discipline and risk. They're not optional. They're the price of success. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start building the life you really want. The Millionaire Mindset embraces both, and that's why it wins. Success is not built in isolation. People think they can do it all on their own. But let me tell you, your environment shapes you far more than you realize. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you hear every day, the energy that's in your space, it either builds you up or it tears you down. And if you want to develop the Millionaire Mindset, you must ruthlessly protect your energy and carefully choose your environment. Here's the reality. If you spend your time around complainers, guess what you become? A complainer. If you surround yourself with people who make excuses, who blame the government, who blame the economy, who blame everybody but themselves, then slowly you will start making excuses too. It rubs off. It seeps into your mind, into your habits, until you don't even realize it's happening. That is poison to success. You cannot afford that kind of energy if you're serious about winning. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with builders, with achievers, with people who are striving for more, you start to rise. You begin to think bigger, act bolder, push harder. Their energy fuels you. Their conversations spark ideas. Their standards pull you higher. That's why I've always said, if you want to fly with the eagles, you can't be scratching around with the chickens. It's true. If you want to think like a millionaire, you cannot live in an environment of small thinkers. Look at any successful person in history, whether it's in business, politics, sports, or entertainment, and you'll see the same pattern. They position themselves in environments that push them higher. They didn't stay stuck with the crowd that dragged them down. They deliberately chose mentors, partners, and peers who challenged them. That is not an accident. That is a decision, and you must make that decision too. Your energy is your most valuable currency. It's more valuable than money, more valuable than time, because if your energy is low, you can't think clearly, you can't take action, you can't create results. But if your energy is high, you can push through challenges, you can stay disciplined, you can spot opportunities others miss. And what affects your energy the most? Your environment. Who you spend time with, what you feed your mind, the conversations you allow, the places you go. I've seen it happen so many times. Talented people, intelligent people, people with potential, but they're surrounded by negative energy, by dream killers, by people who laugh at ambition, who say don't try too hard or just be realistic. And slowly those voices sink in. The dreamer becomes the doubter. The visionary becomes the average worker. Their potential is crushed, not because they didn't have ability, but because their environment killed their energy. That's why you have to be ruthless. You must cut out the negative influences. If someone is constantly draining you, constantly doubting you, constantly pulling you down, you need to create distance. You don't have to be cruel, but you do have to protect yourself because your future is on the line. You cannot let someone else's small thinking infect your big vision. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. And it's not just about people, it's about what you consume. The news you watch, the books you read, the shows you binge, the voices you listen to. Are they filling your mind with fear, doubt, negativity? Or are they feeding your confidence, your knowledge, your belief? Every input matters. What goes into your mind shapes what comes out of your actions. That's why millionaires are very intentional about what they consume. They don't waste hours on gossip. They don't drown in negative media. They don't spend all their time in distraction. They invest their energy in things that grow them. Your environment is either a greenhouse that nurtures your growth or a desert that kills it. In a greenhouse, you thrive. You're fed, you're watered, you're protected, you grow. In a desert, no matter how much potential you have, you dry out and die. So you must ask yourself, what kind of environment am I living in? Is it feeding me or is it draining me? Is it helping me expand or is it keeping me small? That question is critical, and only you can answer it honestly. The millionaire mindset thrives in environments of ambition, vision, and energy. That's why I always sought out the best people. I wanted the sharpest minds around me, the boldest thinkers, the most capable doers. Because when you're surrounded by that level of energy, it forces you to rise to the occasion. You can't stay average in a room full of high achievers. You're either going to rise up or you're going to get pushed out. That's how the environment works. And let me add this. Creating the right environment doesn't always mean being physically surrounded by people. In today's world, you can build your environment through books, videos, mentors you may never meet in person, but who shape your mindset. You can choose to listen to voices that lift you up, to ideas that challenge you, to lessons that strengthen you. There is no excuse anymore. If you're stuck in a negative environment physically, you can still create a positive one mentally, but you have to choose. So here's the bottom line. If you want the millionaire mindset, you must master your environment. Surround yourself with winners, with thinkers, with doers. Cut out the negativity. Protect your energy. Feed your mind with powerful ideas. Because no matter how strong you think you are, your environment will shape you. And if you choose the wrong environment, it will destroy you. But if you choose the right one, it will elevate you higher than you ever imagined. The people you allow in your life, the conversations you allow into your mind, the energy you allow around you, that is the soil where your success grows. Make it fertile, make it rich, make it strong. Because if you get the environment right, everything else becomes easier. Your mindset grows, your confidence rises, your discipline strengthens, and your risks pay off. That is the power of energy and environment. That is why millionaires guard it with their lives. And if you want to be one, you must do the same. So here we are. We've talked about thinking big. We've talked about the fact that mindset comes before money. We've talked about the discipline, the risks, the energy, the environment. But now it all comes down to one thing: action. Because none of this matters if you don't act. None of it matters if you don't make the decision right here, right now, to change the way you think and the way you live. The millionaire mindset is not just some theory you hear about in a book or a seminar. It's not just a nice phrase you repeat to yourself. It's a decision you make and a way you live. And here's the truth. If you don't decide, if you don't take action, nothing will change. You'll keep waking up to the same paycheck, the same routine, the same frustrations. And 10 years from now, you'll look back and wonder why you didn't start today. I've seen it my whole life. People with great ideas, incredible talent, even opportunities staring them in the face, and they do nothing. They wait. They hesitate. They say, maybe next year, maybe when things are better, maybe when I have more time. Guess what? Next year never comes. Conditions are never perfect. And while they wait, someone else acts. Someone else seizes the opportunity. Someone else wins. That's the difference. Winners act, losers wait. The millionaire mindset is about taking control. It's about saying, I refuse to live small. I refuse to accept mediocrity. I refuse to let fear and excuses dictate my future. It's about taking responsibility, not blaming the government, not blaming your boss, not blaming your parents. taking full responsibility for where you are and where you're going. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take power. And with power, you can change everything. Now, let's talk about urgency. People think they have time. They think they can wait until they're older, until they're comfortable, until everything lines up. But time is the one thing you don't get back. Money, you can lose and earn again. Opportunities, you can miss and sometimes find new ones. But time, once it's gone forever. And every day you delay, every day you hesitate, is a day you could have been building, growing, winning. That's why you must act now, not tomorrow. Now. I've always believed in striking fast. When I see an opportunity, I move. I don't wait for permission. I don't wait for guarantees. I don't wait for somebody else to tell me it's okay. I move. That's why I've been able to build, to expand, to win. Because winners move fast. Losers move slow, or not at all. If you want to be a winner, you must develop the habit of decisive action. And listen, you don't have to have it all figured out. People think they need the perfect plan, every detail mapped out before they start. That's nonsense. Plans are important, yes, but action is more important. You figure things out as you go. You adjust, you learn, you improve. But you cannot learn if you don't move. You cannot improve if you don't begin. Starting is everything. Now let me give you a challenge. Right now, as you listen, decide what you're going to do differently. Decide one area of your life where you've been thinking small and flip it. Decide one place where you've been waiting and act. Maybe it's starting the business you've been talking about for years. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor. Maybe it's cutting out the negative voices in your life. Whatever it is, make the decision and act on it today. That is how you begin to build momentum, because momentum is real. Once you start, once you move, energy builds. Opportunities show up, doors open, confidence grows, and suddenly, what felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. That's the magic of momentum, but it only happens if you take the first step. The Millionaire Mindset changes everything because it changes you. It changes the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond. And when you change, your world changes, your results change, your life changes. But it all starts in your mind, and it all becomes real when you act. So here's the choice. You can stay where you are. You can keep thinking small, playing safe, surrounding yourself with the wrong energy, waiting for perfect conditions. And 10 years from now, you'll be in the same place, maybe worse, filled with regret. Or you can decide right now to change. You can decide to think like a millionaire. You can decide to act with discipline, to take risks, to protect your energy, to surround yourself with winners. You can decide to live with urgency, to take control, to build the life you know you're capable of. The Millionaire Mindset is not reserved for a select few. It's not only for the privileged, the lucky, the special. It's available to anyone who decides to embrace it. The only question is, will you decide? Will you take action? Will you choose to live differently? Because at the end of the day, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you success. You must claim it. You must fight for it. You must earn it. And it begins in your mind, and it begins today. So I'll leave you with this. Winners are not born. They are made. Made by their mindset, made by their discipline, made by their willingness to risk, made by their energy and their environment. You have everything you need inside you right now. The only thing left is the decision. Are you going to think small, or are you going to think like a millionaire? Are you going to wait, or are you going to act? Are you going to stay average, or are you going to rise? The choice is yours, but remember this, the Millionaire Mindset changes everything, and once you embrace it, your life will never be the same. Believe me. When people hear about the Millionaire Mindset, some of them think it's just about money. They think it's about cars, houses, luxury. But let me tell you, it's bigger than that, much bigger. The Millionaire Mindset is not just about making millions. It's about living a life of power, influence, and freedom. It's about creating your own destiny instead of waiting for someone else to decide it for you. It's about building a vision so big, so bold, that it outlasts you. That's what we're talking about. See, money by itself is limited. You can only buy so many things. You can only spend so much before it loses its thrill. But mindset, that's unlimited. The right mindset gives you freedom. Freedom to create. freedom to expand, freedom to design your life exactly the way you want it. That's something no dollar amount can ever replace. Think about it. Everything great in history, every skyscraper, every business empire, every breakthrough in technology, every movement that shaped the world started with a mindset. Someone believed it was possible. Someone believed it was worth the risk. Someone believed they could do it, even when everyone else laughed, doubted, or said it couldn't be done. And that belief, that mindset, changed the course of history. So when I talk about the millionaire mindset, I'm not just talking about getting rich. I'm talking about becoming the kind of person who thinks so big, so bold, that you elevate everyone around you. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just make money, you create opportunities for others. You create jobs, you inspire people, you change families, you change communities. That's the ripple effect. That's what happens when one person decides to think bigger. Now, let me make this very clear. It's not easy. The world is designed to keep you average. The system is built to reward small thinking, to keep you in line, to make you believe that security is better than freedom. But security is an illusion. Jobs disappear, economies collapse, circumstances change. The only real security you ever have is the mindset you carry with you. That is your greatest asset. That is what nobody can take away from you. And that's why I push this message so hard. Because once you flip the switch in your mind, once you decide to think and act like a millionaire, nobody can stop you. You'll start to see the world differently. Where others see limits, you'll see options. Where others see risk, you'll see opportunity. Where others quit, you'll push forward. That difference compounds day after day, year after year, until one day people look at you and say, "Wow, how did you do it?" And you'll know the truth. You started with the mindset. Another thing, don't underestimate the power of legacy. When you adopt the millionaire mindset, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your family, for your children, for everyone who comes after you. You're setting a new standard. You're breaking the cycle of small thinking, of settling, of mediocrity. You're proving that it's possible to rise higher, to do more, to be more. And that changes everything for generations. I've seen families where one person decides to think big, and suddenly the entire trajectory of that family changes. Kids grow up with a different vision of what's possible. Communities are lifted. Businesses are born. That's what happens when the millionaire mindset takes root. It's not just personal success, it's generational success. Now here's what you must remember. The journey never ends. Even when you've made it, even when you've built wealth, you keep pushing, you keep growing, you keep expanding, because the moment you stop, the moment you get comfortable, you start to decline. Millionaires don't retire from growth. They never stop thinking big. They never stop creating. That's why they stay on top. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to live small, safe, average, invisible? Or do you want to live bold, free, impactful, remembered? The choice is yours. But I'll tell you this, once you taste the power of the millionaire mindset, once you see how it changes your confidence, your decisions, your results, you'll never go back. You'll never settle for less again. This is not just about being rich. It's about being unstoppable. It's about being unshakable. It's about being the kind of person who, no matter what happens, always finds a way to win. Because that's what the millionaire mindset does. It makes you unstoppable. So I'll say it one final time. The millionaire mindset changes everything. It changes your vision, your confidence, your discipline, your risk-taking, your energy, your environment, your actions, your results, your legacy. It changes who you are, and because of that, it changes what you can do. And when you change what you can do, you change your entire life. The only question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop thinking small, to stop waiting, to stop holding yourself back? Are you ready to embrace the mindset that has created fortunes, built empires, changed the world? If you are, then make the decision right now. Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't delay. Decide, act, and commit. Because the millionaire mindset is not just a way of thinking, it's a way of living. And once you live it, you will never be the same. Believe me,